Hello and welcome to Smaulgld's update on the People's Bank of China gold reserves for the month of January 2017. Now, the big news for the People's Bank of China is that it has been bleeding foreign reserves now for the past couple of years, and that bleeding has accelerated. The People's Bank of China has announced that their foreign reserves have fallen below 3 trillion for the first time in 6 years. Despite that, the People's Bank of China added about 7 tons of gold to reserves in January. Now, the People's Bank of China had added no gold to reserves in November and actually sold about 20 tons of gold in December. They added back about 7 tons in January. So total reported People's Bank of China gold reserves are now at 1,828 tons, even though now their foreign reserves fell another 12 billion in January. People's Bank of China's foreign reserves fell about 320 billion in 2016 after falling 513 billion in 2015. Now, the People's Bank of China added 104 tons of gold to reserves since they started reporting in January 2015 through the end of 2015, and they added about 60 tons in 2016. There's your please make a donation to Smaulgld pitch from, you can do it through PayPal below the YouTube, or you can do it on the Smaulgld site. Thank you very much for those of you who do take the time to donate to Smaulgld, either via PayPal or Bitcoin, or even now Patreon. There's a link below the YouTube. You can do that as well. Thank you very much. So the People's Bank of China now has 1,828 tons. Now, they have not been adding nearly as fast gold to the reserves as Russia has, who we also report on monthly. That's because the People's Bank of China has lost nearly $1 trillion in reserves over the past 2 years. Now, their percentage of gold as reserves, however, even with the decrease in overall reserves, is still only 2-3%, so it is not a significant amount. Now, I know many people claim that China is lying and that they have more gold than that, and that's partially true. The country of China clearly has more gold than 1,828 tons that's on the People's Bank of China's gold reserve balance sheet, but it's not at the People's Bank of China, plain and simple. And I had written a blog post when they first came out with their, if you look right here, in 2015 in the summer, they finally reported their gold reserves for the first time since 2009, and people were shocked that the amount was not the 7, 8, 10, 12,000 tons that people had expected. And I had written an article that got picked up in Zero Hedge that explained that the People's Bank of China doesn't contain all of China's gold. There's gold elsewhere in the country, with individuals, with with investment funds, sovereign wealth investment funds, in other Chinese state-owned banks, and that it just wasn't all at the People's Bank of China. People somehow don't even accept that explanation. They just like to stick to the whole conspiracy that somehow they're lying. I say they're not lying. They just don't have all their gold at the People's Bank of China. They have it elsewhere. They don't deny it. In fact, I reported a month or two after that story that China's president confirms the practice of moving official reserve assets to other entities in China. So, yeah, they're shuffling the gold around. They're not lying. They're saying this is what we have on account here at the People's Bank of China. I don't see why that's nefarious, and we'll see. Now, we're going to go through. I'm going to show you. Of course, China has more gold. Before we get it. So, they imported last year through November, 719 tons. Cumulatively, since 2000, they've imported 4,900 tons through Hong Kong. Well, 4,900 tons is more than 1,828 tons. So it doesn't take a genius to say that there's more gold in China than the People's Bank of China has. No one's saying that that's not the case. Of course there is. That's just Hong Kong imports. And they import gold through Shanghai. We don't even know how much gets imported there. Now, here you go. Chinese gold mining production. Another few thousand tons. Add that to the Hong Kong amounts. You're well into the 8,000 tons of gold, and you see less than 2,000 tons of gold on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. Not to belabor the point, but then also the Shanghai Gold Exchange, a couple of thousand of tons. And this is a good proxy for gold demand in China. A couple of thousand tons each year for the last few years gets withdrawn from the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Again, it doesn't end up on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. So no argument that there's more gold in China than is on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. That's basically a fact. So, any event, however, there is a decrease. The one thing to do pay attention to, forget the People's Bank of China. That's how they manage their foreign reserves. But look at the imports are lower for the last year, and the Shanghai Gold Exchange was lower. So China has slowed down a bit in its acquisition in general. Forget the People's Bank of China. That's down too. But the overall gold demand is down in China slightly over the last year, 20% or so, and India as well. And yet the gold price is rising. We've talked about that before, that the price of gold is driven by Western sentiment and trading, and less so on physical supply demand dynamics. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with China is they have also been shedding, why they've been ditching their reserves. Part of their reserves are U.S. Treasury bonds. Now, they had a year ago, just a year ago, they had 1.265 trillion dollars in treasuries. They're almost down to just about 1 trillion. They have shed 216 billion treasury bonds in 1 year, from November 2015 to November 2016, and they sold off 67 billion from October to November. Now, why do I have November numbers? That's just the pace at which the U.S. Treasury Department releases their foreign holdings. These just came out a week or so ago. We won't get full year, full year numbers until mid-February, and then we won't get January's numbers until March. So they're about 2 months behind. But you can see that the People's Bank of China is reducing its foreign reserves and reducing its treasury holdings, and they're doing that to support the yuan. Now, the other significant thing about selling treasuries, it's not just part of de-dollarization, it's part of an overall plan or strategy, or just modus operandi of dumping their foreign reserves to protect the yuan. But they are now no longer the number one holder of U.S. Treasuries. That is back to Japan, who holds about 1.1 trillion, and now they're about 60 billion. They hold about 60 billion more than the People's Bank of China. So I think we've gone through all of the charts. Again, you could see these charts better on the Smaulgld website. I'll put a link to this blog post below. Also, if you're interested in buying gold or silver, you can do so at the links below. Smaulgld gets a small commission. You can compare pricing and shipping. Not investment advice, not telling you should buy or shouldn't buy gold or silver, but if you've made the choice that that's what you want to do, please compare or check out the links from on the Smaulgld site and below this YouTube. We have BGASC, Golden Eagle Coins, JM Bullion, Money Metals Exchange. And somebody was saying I don't have SD Bullion. I do. If you're interested in buying through SD Bullion, there's a link, there's a banner on the site. You can do so there. You can click on the banners, click on the links. That's very much appreciated too. That doesn't cost you anything because you pay no more, no less than if you were to go to those sites directly. So why not go through them on the Smaulgld website or on the YouTube links below. Thank you very much. And I should have Shanghai Gold Exchange numbers tomorrow, and we'll also have a few more reports coming up. Thank you very much.